apologise because obviously we are snowed under just now, and as I says, we're dealing with this. We've came down here, myself and Neil, to help out here. We've got nothing to do with this hearings. We've got nothing to do with, obviously we don't take part in the juries or anything, so I never have. I'd love to one day, but basically we come down to explain the process and to allow you to do it, to set up your own courts. So we're actually not involved. We're going to explain what happens today, and we're going to pass it on to you. But we'll monitor it and we'll see. I will actually be presenting one of the cases anyway on behalf of the people. So apart from that, there'll be yourselves that's going to be deciding what happens. If you wish to take part, you'll be jury members. You will then decide the appropriate sanctions, if anything. The individuals may be innocent, may be guilty. It's down to you. And again, if they are found guilty, the appropriate sentence and punishment will be dictated by you. You create the law, your people. You create the law here. You decide what's right. Not the government. It's you. Now, as we roll this out just now, what we're going to do is we'll roll this out. The people that attended yesterday we're grateful to. Many have come back today as well. We're going to have contacts throughout the country, and these contacts will obviously be assisting us, and what they're going to do is they're going to point people in the right direction, so we can be convening courts all over the country every few weeks, which is great. Now, it's not something to be wary about, because what we'll do is we will give you the full backup, and again, it doesn't cost anything. So we'll give you the full backup, and this is what you get, the paperwork and everything. The fact that people are here today, you actually get to take part in this and see how it works. So again, it should actually show you it's very simple. It's a simple procedure. Providing the steps are followed, it's lawful. Now, in relation to that, we've got additional things for enforcement, but what I'm going to do, we've nothing to enforce today because we've no verdicts. So what we're going to do is move on slightly and explain what's going to happen today, but bearing in mind, if the verdicts come back and there's guilty verdicts, what we then have to do is deal with enforcement. Yesterday we obviously taken quite a few names, but what we'll do is we'll sum up at the end and let you know what's going to happen. So the procedure just now in relation to the court itself, as I said, we've got 3 courts that can be convened today. What will happen is the procedure initially, there are certain things that have been completed already. First of all, the 3 individuals, well, 3 individuals, there's 2 individuals regarding property, and the 3rd case is for the class action. The class action, I think just now, we ended up with about 115 names for children that had been removed. Unfortunately, after we actually went through the process, we've actually only got about 75, which is still a lot. The reason for that is partly because this is new, partly because of the website, the facilities we have, and partly because of the people's understanding of the process. They don't know this. Under common law, you can claim common law rights, but it's nice to have a backup. To have a backup, you need to confirm your birth. So the first thing you do is put in your birth details. That's it, end of story. When you do that, you can obtain ownership of what the state uses called the legal fiction. I'm not going to bore people to death, but basically when you were born, the government created a fiction. It's a piece of paper based on the birth certificate, and they only use that when they deal with you. They don't deal with you as a man or woman, they deal with that fiction, the title. That's all it is. And what they do is they try to get you to pay up for it. The good thing, somebody told me, it was actually, unfortunately, says this guy, I spoke to a few times, he passed away recently, he says it was great, I spoke to him a few times just now, but it was something he actually says, it's in Glasgow, it's quite good. He'd come up with it, he says the easy way to think about it is, look, you're playing video games with the government. I thought, yeah, okay, fine, how does that work? He said, well, wait a minute, people play, this is with games on screen, internet, Nintendo, it says various other games, Wii, things like that. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to sit down, and in one chair you've got the government. So the government are there, and they're obviously going to charge you. You're sitting there as an individual, and what you have is an avatar on the screen. So you have someone on the screen, right? Now, what they're actually doing is you're actually playing with this avatar, right, which would be your legal fiction, but basically the government are penalising you. They're not penalising you sitting here playing the game, they're penalising your avatar, right? So they say your avatar's guilty of offence, which is your legal fiction. They've shot me, I don't like it, so basically your avatar's guilty. And then you say, right, okay, fine. And then the government turn to you and say, by the way, you're responsible for the avatar, pay up. So you've got to pay up. And if you don't pay up, they'll put you in jail. That's what it is, it's stupid. That's the way it works. They're not dealing with you, they deal with your avatar. Your avatar is your legal fiction, right? They deal with your name, that's the way it works. So basically it's a simple analogy, but What we're doing today is, having confirmed your birth and then confirmed the ownership of the legal fiction, you've isolated yourself from the state, should you wish to do so. The questions being is does the state rules affect me? What about, obviously, my fiction? Does it affect benefits and everything? Look, it doesn't change anything. Nothing at all. Your everyday life will never change. It's just exactly the same. When you leave here today, you will go out. You may go to the shop to purchase something. When you purchase something, you pay tax. You're paying into the system. You've done that all your life. You pay into the system, you're entitled to obviously use the system. NHS, all the rest of the things. If obviously you have to be assisted with benefits, fine, not a problem. It doesn't change anything. The only way that this is set up and why it comes into operation is when the state attack you. If the state attack you, you can now take control and say, no, sod off politely. I've established my position, and that's it. That's simply what it is. Okay? Now, as I said, the system set up here, we'll go through a little bit later on, but basically the process today, you have 5 court officers. The 5 court officers, we have 2 bailiffs. 2 bailiffs, basically, we've laid up something here, this is for the court. We've got 12 jury members, right, which will be selected. Over here we have a couple of seats for the court sheriff and the court secretary. The court sheriff is basically here to sign off paperwork, to make sure everything's lawful, to monitor the procedure and make sure everything's above board. They literally sign off on behalf of the people and issue orders. The secretary, will actually deal with all the paperwork. So basically everyone that's here today, the jury members, have to give an oath, have to sign to say they were here, and basically stamp various, depending on positions, they may sign some of the paperwork. But it says they will register themselves or basically sign up today, that's it. The information held on the court officers stays with the common law court. It's not for public record. Basically all the paperwork today will go on the site with no names on it. But basically the actual records and signatures are stayed as court records and are stamped by the court. So we actually keep this here. But as I said just now, we have a couple of court officers there, the sheriff and the secretary. We will have a couple of bailiffs. The bailiffs are, I don't know what you call them. Bailiffs are there basically just to protect the parties. The jury members, the court officers, to make sure that obviously nothing untoward's happened. When the jury actually deliberates or convenes, what they will do is they will adjourn somewhere first. They will then obviously be taken to the side or into a room or somewhere. The bailiffs will stay with them. Basically, one of the bailiffs, if it's a separate room, will go into the room to make sure that nobody's using mobile phones. So phoning out for information or texting on the internet or something, all phones are off. You'll have a second bailiff, who will remain there probably outside the door or close by, so that if there's a problem with the deliberations, the jury has the opportunity to call for assistance, for clarification, or if they wish to ask a question. They would pass it on to the bailiff inside. The bailiff would then speak to another bailiff who would then go away for advice. Now, the final individual that we're speaking about, or where they would go for advice, would be the adjudicator. The adjudicator is probably one of the most important positions, basically conducting the hearing, and basically she's just taking control of everything. There's certain things that they have to do just to make announcements, get the parties in, appoint the people, and just conduct proceedings. They play no part at all in the actual verdict or the hearing itself. They're just conducting proceedings. So they deal with that, and that's pretty much it. So you have a court adjudicator deals with it, you have 2 bailiffs are required, and then you'll have your sheriff and your secretary. The sheriff, the secretary, possibly the adjudicator, they sign most of the paperwork, and that's it. The sheriff will also sign paperwork today, which will confirm it's basically a warrant to deputise people. So we're actually deputising people for enforcement purposes, so that will be signed today. And then we have people yesterday volunteered. So what we'll be doing on the website is confirming that we have many, many people throughout the UK in various areas are going to be assisting these to set up the common law courts. We also have many people that have signed up for enforcement duties, so they're actually doing that. And basically what we'll do is get them sworn in, and then they'll be appointed by the court to help with enforcement, which will be starting in the next couple of weeks. So that will be happening as well. What we're also going to do is notify the authorities as to what we're doing, because it's only fair that you let them know what you're doing and what's in operation. To a degree, we've already told them, they know that we're here, the courts know we're here, they know what we're doing, but basically this is being honourable, we're telling them, look, this is what's going on, and then we'll start enforcing decisions. Having appointed all the people and swearing in an oath and signing the paperwork, I says what will happen is the adjudicator will then make an announcement, and then what we'll do is the plaintiff will step forward. Now, the paperwork that's been issued just now, one was a public notice confirming that they wanted to convene a court. That's already been issued. The individuals who are summoned to appear, the defendants, basically they get 3 papers. They had a couple of weeks ago, there were court summonses. So there's a court summons literally confirming that the individual was summoned to appear and answer to the people for criminal charges. They may or may not have been guilty of, but basically they have to appear here. The additional paperwork that goes with it is court information. It's about 4 pages explaining the process and what's available. The options to them are pretty much 3. One, they can, in the time that they have, they were given 14 days basically to send in a written defence. They have an opportunity to defend themselves, so they do so by way of an affidavit of truth. The affidavit of truth is simply because they do that and swear under oath, or obviously they'll be held personally liable for the statement, and it's qualified everywhere. Everyone accepts this throughout the world. So you have the affidavit. If they do not give an affidavit, we will accept nothing at all, because basically it means nothing, it's worthless. So if they wish to respond, it has to be sworn in, an affidavit and witnessed. The second option they have, if they wish to try and deal with matters resolve matters before the hearing, they can set up what we call a pre-trial conference. So they would contact the plaintiff and say, look, I don't want to go to court, I'm quite happy to meet up, can we not discuss it? Only if the plaintiff's happy to do so, they can say yes, but bearing in mind, you have to then agree on the venue. Because the plaintiff obviously submitted a case, I would probably suggest that the plaintiff says yes, but we have to meet somewhere public, but anyone attending, it would be the plaintiff and defendant, they're allowed 1 witness with them. And anyone attending that meeting can also record the information. So again, it's open and honest, it's above board, you can do that. If they fail to do that, and again, they've got the option to put in a written defence, they can do so, or if they refuse to do so, that would then dictate the behaviour at the trial. So all this has been dealt with. Unless someone steps forward just now, and again, I said apologies, but I don't know everyone here today, we have served the appropriate papers and we can confirm that they've been signed for.